Welcome to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals, experience, and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. And we believe all investments have merit, all investments have relevance, and all investments have their time and place depending on you, your objectives, and your goals. My name is Seth Krussman, and I'm joined here once again with John Ryder and Ben Brayshaw. How are you guys today?
Good morning, Seth. Doing great.
Good morning, Seth.
Excellent. Well, we're all planners and partners with Brayshaw Financial Group, and today we have a very special guest on our show. Phil Henry is one of our advisors that is going to be joining us. And welcome, Phil.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
We're going to introduce Phil in a few minutes and talk more with him about his practice, and looking forward to that. Now, if you're listening to Money on Tap today, welcome. You joined us at a perfect moment, and we're glad to have you. And if you are looking to sit down with an advisor and start making some of the right steps towards your financial goals, we welcome the opportunity to do that with you. And you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. That's also where you can find us at our website, www.yourmoneyontap.com. Go there, have a listen to some of the podcasts that we've rolled out, some of the concepts that we've worked through in bits and pieces and pulled them together so you can kind of digest that and make it your own, and hopefully work with that towards whatever your financial goals might be. Now, on today's show, we're going to spend some time talking to those of you in our audience who have done a good job of planning for their retirement. And you've put that money away into the IRA or the 401k. And now you have to start thinking about how the distributions are going to start to come out. How does that money start to come out of those qualified retirement plans is what we call those. And many people are not aware of the fact that they're required to start making a distribution from those accounts. And we're going to answer a lot of the questions regarding the required minimum distribution, also referred to as an RMD, and why you need to be thinking about them when it comes to your retirement.
Yeah, there's a lot of things inside the RMD world that people have questions about every day.
A lot of complexities, too.
Yeah, a lot of pieces where people are, just like, hey, what about this scenario? What about that scenario? Even when both my parents passed away, we had some RMD crazy stuff happen, and it was very interesting to kind of learn some of the nitty-gritty, too, that, I honestly didn't even know when it came to certain time restrictions and so forth inside the beneficiary side of IRAs, what we're going to talk about later today. And
it's complicated. Nothing's simple. We have an investment type that we have out here called a simple IRA. Is it simple? No, they call it simple, but there's many different types of investments we have. And really, if you think about it, all the different taxation, it's all really built around IRS code. And anyone that has done their tax return in the last 50 years knows that doing a tax return is not easy, it's not simple, it's extremely complex. So we're going to cover some of the rules regarding the distributions that you have to take out of your IRA at some point.
I can't imagine that anybody in our government decided we're going to name something simple.
What an oxymoron.
It's like, no, not going to be that way. Sorry.
It's like easy. Where's that IRA? Or where's that like IRS button?
I remember, Seth, around this is probably not this last presidential election, but I remember the one before and the one before that. There's really was a lot more talk around a flat tax. And I remember politicians talking, I think it was Steve Forbes, talking about how we would be able to do in the coming years, if he was elected president, we would be able to do our income tax return on a form the size of a postcard, and that it would all be done. But I don't know about your tax return, and I don't know about...
I do mine on a napkin.
Yeah. Multiple napkins. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually one of the classes I'm going to be teaching this year is tax returns on a napkin.
nice. But the fact is, tax returns have gotten more and more complicated, not more and more simple. I don't think it's going back to the simpler way. I don't think that's happening.
I don't think that anything's getting simpler in our government.
No. Anywhere.
In any capacity.
So, hey, we are glad to have Phil Henry with us this morning. We're going to talk with Phil.
Yes, welcome.
We're going to talk with Phil just a little bit about his practice, and we are just happy to have.
It's
Phil.
really nice to have Phil here because it's going to occupy more of the mic than John.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be a lot better for all of us, I think.
That
What do
is
you think,
better.
Seth?
Yeah, 2 thumbs up if you didn't see that.
So, Ben, you happened to run across Phil a long time ago, back in earlier days. Tell us a little bit about when you met Phil.
Well, I'm going to keep it above board. No, I'm just kidding. No, Phil, we've been working together. I was doing the math. It's got to be it's over a decade.
Well over a decade.
Well over a decade. So either one of us is stupid. I mean, it's either you or me on this thing, right? I mean, come on.
Seth and I are voting over here.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
If you can text your vote to
No, I have had the pleasure of working with Phil for a long time. I have a lot of respect. I really appreciate Phil. As you can imagine, I wouldn't be working with him if I didn't. And Phil, I'm going to ask you some questions. I know some of the answers here, but I'm going to kind of line them out here for you.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about the start you had in this industry. And first of all, how long have you been in this business?
Coming up on 20 years.
Yeah.
Phil, you don't look old enough to be in the business for 20 years. Come on. I know our listeners can't see you, but 20 years?
John doesn't lie well. I'm convinced of that.
Well, it's most appreciated, let me tell you.
so 20 years, and you got your start. Tell us a little bit about how you got in. How you got introduced to this business. A little bit about that.
Well, it was something I always wanted to do. I think from an early age. Actually, I did some testing when I was out of college, vocational type testing, and it indicated that it would be a field that would be good for me to get into in terms of my personality and strengths. So it took a few years for me to figure out how exactly you do go about getting into it because, you're self-employed and that's kind of scary. Wife, little kids, it had to be kind of the timing had to be right for it. So it took a while for me to actually get into it.
It's not an easy start, is it, Phil?
It's not an easy start.
No, and I think that's one thing. Like a lot of people who are listening today probably don't understand the difference between an independent and someone who works for a kind of a big name firm and the complexity of kind
or
of
even
being
a bank.
Yeah, or even a bank. I mean, some of the complexities of being out on your own, you're branded as as we are, Brayshaw Financial Partners, as and so forth. I think people don't understand how difficult it is because we don't have things paid for us. We have to build the business ourselves from the ground up.
We have office expense, telephone expense,
Yeah.
Paying for our own licenses, that type of thing. Now, if you go work for a large brokerage company out there that you may have a salary, they'll kind of pay for everything. They take care of your benefits. But in our business, it's a little bit different.
And I think that's what Phil's leading to is starting out with a young family. That's tough. We can all appreciate that sitting here at the table.
It was very difficult, and I had to have a little bit of a cushion in order to do it. I'm sure we probably all had.
Yeah.
Like 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years. A 5-year cushion in the bank would be nice. That was not
Yeah.
the case for me, but I
Yeah.
had a little bit.
Yeah.
I started with a insurance company, Mass Mutual, which John is familiar with.
Right.
What transpired over my first
You weren't there long, right?
I was not.
Yeah.
No. Over the 6 months I was there was a change in leadership. Let's just say I was diametrically opposed to the direction they were heading in. At that time, they really wanted to focus strictly on life insurance, disability, and they really didn't want to see any of their people spending a whole lot of time with investments. And that was really not the direction I wanted to go in. And I also didn't want to ignore what my potential clients were interested in.
Yeah.
Good point.
No, that's funny because when I was with a large firm too, and I started out, and I really felt there was a lot of pressure that I felt from the firm to engage in certain sales. Not that any of them were bad. I mean, it just the types of sales that they wanted us to engage in was not my forte, or something that was not really where my client base was actually targeting either. So, I found myself not to be a good fit at that time. So you joined a firm that I knew well at the time, which is what was that?
I joined Jefferson Pilot Securities, which is an independent financial planning firm. I also moved there at the same time. There was about 6 of us from Mass Mutual that really felt sort of the same feeling about the change in leadership. So we all sort of moved together.
Wow. So Phil, you kind of took a bunch of people with you. You were there for 6 months, and you took six advisors with you.
Well,
they weren't too happy with you over at Mass Mutual.
Yeah, no, they were not. No.
No, and that's traditional business stuff. So Jefferson Pilot, which a lot of us probably probably from this area know Jefferson Pilot fairly well,
Sure.
but that's actually Lincoln now, Lincoln Financial.
Correct.
They were,
Yep.
and that's such a great firm. I have a lot of appreciation for Lincoln and what they do. But that was your first step to independence, huh?
It really was, yeah. And they were fantastic, and it was very nice having it right in Concord. And I could come over and actually talk to somebody, and that was fantastic. But, as time went on, there was some opportunity to make some changes. I had the opportunity to move to a independent firm in Minneapolis, at the time called U.S. Allianz Securities, and I joined them, I believe it was 2003.
Yeah, about the time I landed there, actually, and that's where Phil and I,
Right.
where I connected a year or so probably after.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny. I had a great time there. A lot of good people. So tell us, Phil, a little bit about your client base, the people that you work with, the type of business that you engage with. Share a little bit there.
Sure. I think traditionally what I've done over the years is I've really worked with a lot of small businesses and a lot of individuals who really are in a situation where they're not multimillionaires. They're people that work on Main Street, and they're hardworking people that have spent decades saving money, and they're worried, really concerned about their retirement. And one of the biggest things I hear over and over is being afraid of outliving their money. So that's really been the focus for a number of years for me, really setting up income streams for people in retirement that they can't outlive.
What a normal story that we hear on a daily basis. And honestly, it almost doesn't even change between wealth levels. Running
people
out
with
of
a
money.
lot of money, people with no money.
They
the
all
idea
are
is they
concerned
want
with
to
that on some
money
level.
that lasts, right?
Not that they're scared they're going to be bankrupt or poor, but that they're going to have to make decisions that are adverse to their goals. What I would say, they may want to vacation 3 times here, or they want to own a, whether it's a condo in Arizona, or we'll get to there, whatever their story is of retirement, people are scared that they're going to have to make adverse decisions to their ultimate goals and desires for those last years, and that's a big deal. So, Phil, you're not entirely based out of New England anymore. So, tell us a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, but you grew up around here, didn't you?
I did. I'm a native of Burlington, Vermont.
Okay, we're not going to go there.
Yeah.
We're in New Hampshire here. Seth, what do you think? Rhode Island or Vermont? Which one do we, I don't know if there's...
Come on, we all like Rhode Island. Guys, just to tell you, I was there this weekend, once again, sailing out in the harbor.
Why didn't you stay?
Beautiful
You
time.
could have stayed
I didn't
there.
invite Ben. I didn't invite Seth. I probably would have invited Phil. But anyway.
Oh, thank you, John.
Yeah.
So tell us, Phil, a little bit about the developments in the last few years for you, in life and what's going on.
Sure. So I had always had a dislike of cold weather.
That's tough being from Vermont.
Yeah, right. Like how that happened growing up, because my mother didn't like it either.
Okay.
Hey, Phil, we're gonna pause on the dislike for cold weather because you're back here in the summer. I appreciate that. But we're gonna take a break. Seth, you want to take us out?
You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, and we're going to take a quick break. If you want to reach out to us, and you can do that at 855-226-8551, or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. We'll be right back.
Hello, my name is John Ryder, a partner with Brayshaw Financial Group and one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. 10,000 Americans are turning 65 every day, and planning a successful retirement today is more challenging than ever, with a roller coaster stock market, political and economic uncertainty, and so many unknowns when it comes to the escalating costs of healthcare. Let us show you how we utilize the 3D method of investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Using our experience, let us help you plan for a successful retirement. Now is the right time to start getting help. Give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices across the country. We would love the opportunity to meet with you. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to meet with us, and we welcome you to our offices. Call 855-226-8551 today.
Find out more about three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning with Ben Brayshaw, Seth Krussman, and John Ryder on their weekly radio program, Money on Tap. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group are independent of SagePoint Financial.
Welcome back to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals experiencing some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. Now, if you want to reach out to us, you can get a hold of us at 855-226-8551. That's 855-226-8551, or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. Now, I am wearing a special item again here, once again here. Now, this is a Money on Tap.
Nice hat, Seth. Nice hat.
It is a
Nice
money.
hat.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Thank you. Now, I have noticed that when I am wearing this hat, it's like the whole room becomes smarter. Like the intelligence just rises to the next level when I'm wearing my Money on Tap hat or shirt.
Anything that helps you, Seth. Anything that's going to help you.
And I need all the help I can get, especially being a West Coastie, right?
Yes.
So if you want your own Money on Tap gear, all you have to do is email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com, or you can reach us at 855-226-8551. And if you have a show idea or a concept, something that you want us to dive into and pull back the layers of and have some fun with, that's all it takes, folks. And we appreciate our listeners. If that's a podcast, if that's on the air, on radio today, you know what? We appreciate the support out there, and we love to pay you back with a little bit of, what is this called? Swag.
Money on Tap
Is that
swag.
right, John?
That is
Okay.
correct. It's correct. Well done.
All right.
So we are here with Phil Henry, who actually runs our Arizona office, and we're going to get a little bit more into that. But Phil just mentioned that he doesn't like the cold weather. John, when are you going to dislike the cold weather?
I love the cold weather, and I'm sticking around here, Ben, just so you know.
So Phil, tell us. Phil, tell us.
Love the cold weather.
Love it. I'm feeling awfully cold right now. I need to run.
Ben, when are you going to get sick of the cold weather? That's what I want to know.
Sooner than I think. Sooner than I
No,
think.
I just imagine you like watching A Christmas Story, or what is it? The Bing Crosby.
For me, it's
White
looking like it's going to
Christmas.
be in Florida.
Like it's all the time going on, just reminding yourselves how wonderful it is to be in this part of the country where, it's fall, it snows during Christmas, and all the, everybody sings songs around the fire and chestnuts and that kind of stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, not with John. Not with John.
Nope.
No chestnuts by the fire with John. So Phil, back to Phil. So Phil, tell us a little bit about how you got to Arizona, and both on the personal and the professional side.
So I decided that after my kids, the last of my two children, graduated from high school, I waited about a year, let my daughter get through her freshman year of college, and partway through her sophomore year, I sold my house in Maine, which is where I raised them.
So you went from Vermont to Maine.
I went
You
to-
skipped right past New Hampshire.
I lived in New Hampshire
What's
for
wrong?
many years.
Oh, I was going to say, what's wrong with New Hampshire? That's okay.
Before I lived in Maine, I lived in Portsmouth, New Hampshire for several years.
Beautiful town.
Absolutely. Still enjoy it. Just not in the winter.
Yes.
So I sold my house in Maine and decided to have an opportunity to move to Arizona.
And your son's down there too, right?
He is.
Yep. So it's kind of a dual piece.
Yes, he is. He is with me. Actually, my daughter joined me first, and she left school after her sophomore year, partway through her sophomore year, and decided she wanted something different. And so she joined me for a winter, and then she works at a golf
That's
course.
all it took.
Yeah.
Like one winter in Arizona and I'm out.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, no, she actually really loved it, but
Yeah.
she also missed her boyfriend.
Yeah.
So she's now in Portsmouth in the summer, and she is in St. Petersburg, Florida in the winter.
Oh, wow.
And she's back in school. Well, she's going to be going back to school this fall.
Oh, nice.
But my son decided to join me last winter, which has been great. And he's found a position with a company in sales that he absolutely loves.
So a little bit of migration going on here,
There
Phil.
is migration.
That's good.
It's really
Congratulations.
beautiful out there.
So what do you like about Arizona? Probably a lot of things, huh?
Well, the landscape couldn't be any more different than New England, as
I know.
as we all know.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful in its own way. I don't think I truly appreciated it until I'd been out there maybe 3 or 4 times prior to moving. And now I really do love it. I miss the ocean, and the closest point to the ocean is about 3.5 hours, and that's in Mexico.
Oh, wow.
But, it's
I
still...
didn't know that. I didn't know that about the Arizona area.
Yeah, it's called Rocky
it's only
Point.
like
Rocky Point. And
it's only like 5.5 to San Diego from there, I
correct.
think, too, right?
Yeah. I'm actually going to head to San Diego in probably the beginning of November, visit a friend. I haven't been out there yet, but he's lived out.
I've been lightly stalking some friends on Facebook, and apparently several of them do this circuit during spring training that they do, like the San Diego and Phoenix or Arizona and Las Vegas, like all in this little circle, and it's a thing, I guess.
It is a thing. I know several people that rent out their house for long weekends. They just pack up and move out and rent their house for obscene amounts of money to groups of guys who want to go do a bunch of spring training games in the Phoenix area, because all the teams play. It's unlike Florida where the teams are spread out all over the state. In Arizona, they're really all in the Phoenix area, so you can really see a lot of games in a short period of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, now I have something else I want to talk to you about, but we'll do that off air.
Sure.
Very good, very good. So what's really neat is that when Phil made this move, to Arizona, what was exciting for us is he was able to service a number of clients that had started to matriculate and retire in that area, which is good for the entire company actually, which was healthy, because we've got offices, we got 12 offices in, I don't know, 7 or 8 states. We've got people all across the country. Seth, you're in Oregon, speaking with us today, and then John and I are here, and we just got people all over Virginia, with Sheldon,
Connecticut, Mass, all over.
Yeah. So it's nice to have that. So Phil was having you actually make that move was quite.
It was good for us.
It was good for us in more than just the business sense. No, poor Phil. I'm sorry, I'm bragging on you like John, but anyways, that was really an interesting move for us, and I think it was healthy, and you have continued to grow that branch out there pretty nicely. So that's been good to see.
Yeah, it's been great to service people out there, and in addition to make connections with new clients, and at the same time still be able to come back. I've been coming back once every 4 to 6 weeks in the winter to service clients back here, because
I've seen you here more in the summer though, Phil. I just got to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, Phil, I don't see you when the temperatures drop below 30. I haven't seen you around here. Yeah. Okay.
Frankly, I'm wondering if you don't just offer like the either or. It's like to your clients, you're like, well, I can come see you there, or you could come to Arizona.
I'll offer you the seasonal package.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Actually had one do that last winter. They came out to see me as opposed to me go out
funny.
there.
That's great. It's
here.
a little signing bonus there with Phil.
Yeah. So I kind of like the coming back. I when I get on the plane to come back to New England, I love the idea of coming back, seeing clients, seeing friends, seeing John, seeing Ben, and then I get off the plane and I realize it's cold.
Time to get back on the plane.
And I'm fine. Actually, I'm fine with it. But by the end of the week, by the time I'm ready to get back on the plane to go to Phoenix, I'm very happy to be going back to warm weather where I can put my shorts on again and my flip-flops.
Yeah.
That is the opposite. That's the culture that you have in your office there. Am I misunderstanding that? It's a shorts and flip-flops kind of an office affair for you there.
Well, I wouldn't.
It's funny. I hardly have ever seen Phil dressed down out of a suit, which is funny. So I haven't seen him live and in person in Arizona myself. So I'll have to go down and check and see how the office attire has changed.
Do a little drop in.
It's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, Seth. Good point.
Great Financial Group dress code out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more polos worn out there than ties. But,
Well, I think after a certain temperature, that's kind of the norm. I think in the winter you see, when it's 60 degrees out in January, people do dress up more. That's no question. But once the temperatures start rising, people seem to shed the suits.
Nothing like a tie and suit on with 105 degrees outside, right?
Oh, there's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
It's a dry heat, though. It's a dry heat, they always say out there.
Dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, Phil, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate the little bit of update. We have to get some more of the people here with BFG and get them on the air with us. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna dive right in, John. With RMDs, I took up a lot of time with Phil. So
Well, it's really great having Phil with us, and Phil, kick in here wherever you want. You know what? Today, the name of the show is entitled "It's Time to Pay the Piper." Now, if you're really from Boston area, you go, "It's time to pay the piper."
well, if you're from Rhode Island, it's called mob
Yeah,
incentive.
Yeah, in Rhode Island, it's time to pay the piper, man. That's what they'd say in Rhode Island. In Rhode Island, to say or no. But anyway, hey, so when I say it's time to pay the piper, I think probably some of you know what I'm talking about, but many of you don't. In fact, there's a story which I'm going to relate to everyone today that talks about paying the piper. But before we do that, if you think about this, if you folks out there have your traditional IRAs, you have your 401ks and all, you know that at some point it's going to be time to pay the piper, and the piper is the IRS. Now, we have some clients that work for the IRS. We have other we have associates that we know. Ben, you have a good friend of yours that works for the IRS.
I don't have any friends working for the IRS.
He
I have
has
no
many
friends.
friends. And he might even have some enemies that work for the IRS
Yes.
too. I don't know. But the fact is, we all know when it comes to the traditional IRAs to 401ks that we have, that at some point we're going to have to pay taxes, and it is going to be time to pay the piper. Now, some of you might be wondering out there in Radioland, what does it mean when you say it's time to pay the piper? And in fact, the people that I'm sitting down with today, the gentlemen that I'm doing the show with today, have never heard the story of the Pied Piper. So today, I'm going to share with you all the story. And I'm surprised with your ages and all that you haven't heard this. Well, you never read books as children? Whatever happened to all of you guys? It's surprising that you guys never heard this. So this is kind of like along the lines of a grim fairy tale. But I just want to share this with you. Many are familiar with it, but obviously the people that are here with us have not heard that. But few realize, however, that the story is based on real events which evolved over the years into a fairy tale. It was actually made to scare children. So for those of you
I'm
that are
scared.
We're getting around the
Already.
Halloween season, I guess. But for those unfamiliar with the tale, it's set back in 1284 in the town of Hamelin, Lower Saxony, Germany. The town was facing a rat infestation, and a piper dressed in a coat of many colored bright cloths appeared. So they call him the Pied Piper because you think about a pie, there's many different pieces of the pie, but basically it's a multicolored garment that he was wearing. And this piper promised to get rid of the rats in return for a payment, to which the townspeople agreed to. So the piper would play his magic pipe or his magic flute, and he got all of the rats to go away by leading them away. Now, he had agreed on a payment from the townspeople, so after he led them all away, he came back for his payments. And the people of the town reneged, saying, "Oh, we're not going to pay you now. Everything was good back in the town of Hamelin again. There are no rats around." So the Pied Piper left, and he vowed when he left that he was going to have revenge on the people of Hamelin. And when he came back to Hamelin on the 24th of July in 1284, he started to play his pipes again. And he played the pipe, and the children walked away. And so this is from Robert Browning, the Pied Piper.
That's a little
of
dreary
Hamelin's.
for today, there, John.
Listen, here's how it is read by Robert Browning, how it is written by Robert Browning, who wrote the Pied Piper of Hamelin. When lo, as they reached the mountainside, this is when he was bringing the children away. When lo, as they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. And the piper advanced, and the children followed. And when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. And so that was the last that was ever seen of the children of Hamelin. In fact, it's interesting because today, even today, in Hamelin, there's a street. I can't really pronounce the name of the street because it's this long German word. But there's a street. I think it's called the Bungelosundstrasse. It's called The Street Without Drums. No one is allowed to play music or dance there. And incidentally, it is said that
today, right now?
To today, incidentally, it's said that the rats were absent from earlier accounts. So maybe the rats weren't even part of it. But there's kind of a lot of different legends about what happened. But that was sometime around the period of the Black Plague. There's some people that actually said that the children were sent away because the townspeople there were such.
I can
poor
imagine
shape.
someone sending their kids away.
Yeah, Ben can. Ben often volunteers to send some of his 4 children away. So the interesting thing is, when it's time to pay the piper, it is time to pay the piper or pay the consequences. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And there's some certainly frequently asked questions that people will ask us many times about required minimum distributions. We've had some people call them DMRs or MRDs, and sometimes they forget how that's titled, but it's called a required minimum distribution. Let me say that one more time clearly for all of our listeners. Required minimum distributions. And Ben, why don't we go start talking a little bit about those distributions and kind of when they're needed, why they're needed, that type of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, RMDs, required minimum distributions, are kind of the thing that, for us, I guess in our business, just the traditional, we expect everyone to know that at 70.5, the government's going to say you need to start taking your money out. But it is actually something that, there's a large number of people out there that just don't know it. They say, hey, I just found out I got to take money out of my retirement plan. I had no idea. Why are they making me take money out of my retirement plan? And I say, well, the government needs their income, and they're saying, hey, we've let you delay this long. Now you need to start collecting.
Yeah, so as people start putting into the plans, they kind of forget the fact that they might have gotten a nice deduction for putting money into that plan. So just as an example, if you're putting money into a retirement plan, let's say that you make $50,000 a year. But let's say that you make a contribution for $5,000 for that year. The IRS will look at it as if you're only making $45,000 and will give you basically a deduction on that $5,000 that you put in. So you've paid no taxes on it. Over the years, if you continue to do that year in and year out, you build up kind of a big tax bill with the IRS for someday when you pull those dollars out.
Well, and that's a big deal. I mean, this is probably, if you don't do your RMDs, this is one of the most onerous taxes our government has, penalty issues that's out there. I mean, if you don't take your RMD on time, it's a 50% penalty.
50.
50 automatically. That's even before the tax is due on the money. So you're going to 50% of the money is just gone, and then you still got to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about the types of accounts that people need to pay.
RMDs let's take
it's a lot.
Let's just bounce back to that because, even if you're in like a 15% tax bracket, right? Because it's going to be your top tax bracket because it's the last money that comes in essentially, right? So, you're talking minimum 65%, 2/3 of your money basically gone if you forget to take out this money.
Okay, so not that we're here to scare everyone like the fairy tale here. However, I will say that there's some accounts that you don't necessarily need to take RMDs on. For instance, Ben, if I came in to the office and opened up an account with you, I just open up an individual account, and you maybe sets me up for some stocks, some bonds, that type of thing. On that individual account, each and every year, I would get what is called a 1099 from the company. Mm-hmm. And I would pay taxes on it every year. So I don't have to worry about an RMD on an individual account. Yeah. However, if I came in and I went to Phil's office in Arizona in February, I would be very happy. And what I would do, if Phil opened an IRA up for me, then I would get to put money into that, and I'd get a deduction for every time I put money in there. And Phil would not have the company send me a 1099 every year because even though I may be earning money with that, the good thing is I don't have to pay any taxes on it until what age?
70.5.
Yeah. And if I don't take it, that's the big deal, and that's where we get hit with that huge prohibitive tax there of 50%.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the biggest moving pieces that people don't, if you don't know this and your advisor hasn't gone through this with you and you're, there's people out there probably sitting wondering, I haven't taken it. What's interesting is there's a number of different investments that, because it's supposed to be, when you take your RMD, it's based on the previous December 31st value. So if it's December 31st of 2017, that doesn't matter today because it's the December 31st of 2016. That's the value they base your RMD
Sure.
at. So it doesn't matter if your value's gone up or down since then. You're taking it off of last December's value.
Yeah.
Now, with that, okay, there's some companies, John, that, and I've experienced this in a couple of oddball scenarios where they don't, and I don't want to get into details of this, that, or the other thing, but there's some companies that actually don't have to report those numbers to the IRS, which is interesting, and they don't actually send out documentation because they're not required based on the type of investment. We've kind of run across some oddball scenarios throughout our career, and I've just seen where it's like, hey, you got to take your RMD. Well, I never got a notification from that company because a lot of companies will notify you.
You still got to take it anyway.
You still got to take it.
Yeah.
You're responsible for having to take it, and so forth. So there's some interesting things out there with RMDs that we're going to get into. But I'm going to turn this over to Seth.
Well, you're listening to Money on Tap, and if this last section we didn't quite lead you into that with proper expectations of scaring the children via John's fairy tale of the Pied Piper, we apologize right now to you, but we want to let you know that we're going to be back with more Money on Tap right after this. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
A lengthy vacation requires some thoughtful and detailed planning, and few people would go on such a trip without the necessary preparation. On our Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, Seth Krussman shows us with his example that the same care and thoughtfulness should also be given to our retirement planning.
This is a journey. This is a project that you have an opportunity to invest in and to uncover and identify how you want to live your life. And I think how many times, we go on vacation. A great friend of mine took his whole family on a mission trip to Guatemala this last year, and that looked like a tremendous adventure. And how much planning does it take to get that to happen? I have no problem involving myself in creating a plan around something like that. And if I can get my mindset to be thinking that way, like, wow, I am planning the largest vacation of my life. How much fun can that be? And I can't wait to sit down and talk to you about that, right?
Thanks for joining us for this Cliff Notes edition of Money on Tap, with great tips from the pros in three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. Now here's more Money on Tap with Seth, Ben, and John.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And if you're also wondering, like, how do I get more Money on Tap? You can do that.
I was thinking about that, Seth.
Yeah, because I can't get enough of us. You can reach us at www.yourmoneyontap.com, and you can also go have a listen to any of the past podcast episodes that we've been posting out there in iTunes, Stitcher, however you get your media out there. We appreciate you listening. If you have a show idea or a concept that you're like, I really want to get some understanding around this. I want to get a deeper dive, pull back the layers of this, and kind of unpack an idea. We love doing that, and you can actually email us at info@yourmoneyontap or call us at 855-226-8551. And if we use your show concept, we're going to give you a Money on Tap hat or shirt, whichever those you would like. And right now we are talking about time to pay the piper, which all of us, have done at one point in time or another and basically paid taxes in our life. So what does that mean? We're talking about RMDs and what these mean in our qualified accounts. And those can be 403Bs, those could be 401Ks, IRAs, simples, you name it. They're called qualified accounts. And at some point in time, all of that tax-free reinvestment or growth that we've hopefully achieved in those accounts is going to start to come out. And Uncle Sam's going to say, hey, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and take our piece of that now. And that's what we're talking about is these RMDs coming out. And what are some of the things around an RMD that you need to know and just be aware of, because it's not necessarily bad. We're not meaning to scare anybody here with this idea, but it is something that anybody needs to just be aware of. Like, for instance, we just mentioned the 70.5 that regardless of what the time frame is that you've been putting that money away into those qualified accounts, 70.5 is the mark where you need to be aware that there's going to be a required minimum distribution off of that account.
You know, Seth, there's a lot of folks that are wondering, well, why do I have to pay the taxes on this? And the reality is that the way the government has designed to really extract money from us, I guess. And the fact that we do need to pay our taxes, and the fact is that at age 70.5, they want us to start using that. Now, a lot of times people will have questions like, well, how much do I have to take out of my account? So I wanted to just give everyone kind of just a general ballpark idea for them to get an understanding and really how the amount was calculated. Let's say, for instance, that you are age 70.5 and you have $100,000 in your IRA. You might have you might have some in your 401k, you might have some in your IRA, you might have some in your 403b, but you have a total of $100,000. Basically, what the government is going to do is they're going to take a look at the balance of your account on the year prior. So if you were taking one for this year, you'd be looking at what your balance was on 12/31 of 2016. And basically, the government is going to take that $100,000, divide that by your life expectancy. So let's say that your life expectancy was 12 years, and you're destined for your last day to be on Earth was 12 years from now. They'd take that balance of $100,000, divide that by 12, and basically what you'd have an RMD due of $8,333.33 due every year. Now, that would be for your first year, but obviously every year they're going to recalculate that, and actually that will increase over time. Basically, what they're trying to do is to basically use your money up over your life expectancy.
Well, basically get you to take it out of the taxable program, from the tax deferred, and create a taxable event for you to actually create revenue for the government. They don't care if you spend it or not. They just want you to experience the tax hit.
Yes, and they have different tables they use too, so you wouldn't necessarily just use single life expectancy.
Right, and then the joint life expectancy, I tell people it's like there's this super complex calculation. I mean, it is actually a lot more complex. But hey, joint life expectancy, just take it and divide it by 127.5, and you'll get basically your first year. But from there on out, you're on your own because of the calculation. But every company will do it for you.
Yep. And so what we have often, if we have clients that have multiple IRAs, there's one rule, and some people are not aware of this. Some people think that if they have 5 different IRAs, that they need to take a distribution from each individual IRA. But the fact is, you don't. So let's say that if you have 5 different IRAs and you decide that it would really be best for you to take it out of this one IRA, maybe it's an IRA money market you have set up, then you can certainly take all of your RMD from that. You don't have to take it from each one individually, but you do have to take out the portion as a whole.
Yeah, and I think that's the big misnomer, right? So if you're listening here today and you've got 5 accounts and you say, you know what, tactically, it's better for me to take it out of the one that's the least performing because I got these other accounts maybe making more money. Let's say you had 3 CDs and they were all IRAs, and you had one making 1%, one making 2%, and one making 3%. Well, if you want to keep the one that's making 3%, that's okay. You can take all your RMDs from the one just making 1%, which would be the wiser move. You don't need to take it from all 3 of those.
Or you could have another account that's set up that has a surrender charge if you were to pull money out of that early. That may not be the best place, although many of investments out there are what we call RMD friendly, meaning they'll allow you to take that money out if you need to take an RMD. But many times it may make sense to have maybe a longer term bucket of money that you're not going to touch, and the shorter term bucket is what you'll utilize for your RMDs every year.
Phil, you had any crazy RMD stories in your past?
Well, the one that comes to mind immediately is a woman who I was referred to by a friend of hers who was a client. And I walked into her house, sat down at the table. She brought out all her documents that I asked her to have prepared. And she was, I believe at the time, 74. And she had not taken out any RMDs.
She hadn't taken out anything?
She hadn't taken out anything.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. So that was a little bit of a tough one. So we immediately met with her accountant, and it was a situation where the company hadn't notified her, or it's entirely possible maybe she was notified and
didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
That does happen.
And to be fair, the accountant did not pursue it, probably quite the way he should have, because he certainly was probably aware she had IRAs. But so, she took out a large lump sum for all the years that she had missed, and that was just last year.
Wow.
So how did that 50% tax work out on that? Was there any kind of an amending process for the back years where that basically the 50% of the RMD would be taxed?
Well, what the accountant did is he took the stand of just making sure she took out what she was originally required to have taken out over those 4 years. And at this point, kind of waiting to hear from the IRS as to what the penalties are going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
It's coming. It's just, the government, as we all know, doesn't necessarily always work quickly. So
you know what's interesting, that whole story that you're talking about, Seth, on the IRS website, there's actually a question that's asked, a frequently asked question, and the question is this: can the penalty for not taking the full RMD be waived? And it's actually interesting what the IRS response is here. It says, yes, the penalty may be waived if the account owner establishes that the shortfall in distributions was due to reasonable error and that reasonable steps are being taken to remedy the shortfall. In order to qualify for this relief, you must file Form 5329 and attach a letter of explanation. So it sounds like there is some forgiveness possibly with the IRS. I'm not sure exactly if it would be forgiven or not in this case, but it looks like there's certainly perhaps maybe
this is a one-time
remedied.
Forgiveness at best, though.
Yes, so
absolutely.
Don't go for that every single year. Sometimes people say, "Well, forgiveness is easier to ask than permission." Not usually the case with the IRS.
Yeah, no, and I actually have had clients that have called, and they're not even clients sometimes, but they're like, "Hey, I didn't take my RMD. I know I was supposed to," and XYZ, and we try to really be on top of people to exercise the documents they get. But sometimes people just, I laid it on this table. I totally forgot about it, and and we can't force people to do anything. I mean, that's the one thing that people think, like we should be hand-holding them. And but we do quite a bit of work to get. I mean, we mail packages with sign here tabs and do this and do that, and we just sometimes don't get it back.
One of the questions I get on a regular basis around this is, okay, well, I'm going to take that distribution. I don't want it. I don't need it. Can I just put that over into my other IRA, or can I put that into my other qualified account? And I mean, the simple answer is no.
Yeah.
there's no taking it in out. Putting it back in.
We can reinvest it into a traditional non-qualified account, but not a traditional IRA
or a Roth.
Yeah. So you can do some conversion stuff. There's some things out there you can do. What's really interesting? A lot of questions that I get, is people who are 70 and a half, who are still working. Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's happening more and more,
and it is happening more. And what's interesting is there is an exclusion for RMDs. It's pretty interesting, and that has to do with 401ks, profit sharing, 403bs, and some other defined contribution plans in which, if you're still working, you don't need to take the RMDs from those plans in which you are still working for. But you'd still have to take your RMDs from the IRAs or other plans that you are not. So that's interesting. It adds a little bit of complexity for some people. And I find that those people are the least interested in taking their RMDs because they're getting hit with both the the income levels at those higher rates. So that's nice that you have that one piece of exclusion. It reduces your RMDs across the board, but gives you some food for thought if you are still working and maybe considering rolling, because what happens is a lot of 401k plans have the ability to move money out. They have the ability to move money out.
We call it in-service distribution.
In-service distribution, yep. And
we do those all the time, actually, with folks.
Yeah, 59. Sometimes it's at 59.5. Sometimes it's 65. But sometimes it's not until service has terminated, like meaning you have left the company. Mm-hmm. But when you do in-service distributions and you are planning on working past 70 and a half years old, it may be to your benefit not to do an in-service distribution if your plan allows it, and to avoid dealing with that RMD in the future, because then you'd be stuck taking an RMD from that, versus if you left it in the plan, you were still working there at 7 and a half, you wouldn't have to take it. So that's a little bit of a piece that I think little nugget there for you.
You're listening to Money on Tap, and you can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ben Brayshaw, one of the co-hosts of Money on Tap. If you have questions when it comes to your retirement and are looking for a personalized solution, contact us at Brayshaw Financial Group. In today's volatile stock market, we can help you plan to find your successful retirement solution. Am I saving enough? Am I saving into the right places? Do my investments match my appetite for risk? Do I have a tax strategy that is going to help me keep more of what I earn? How can I maximize my Social Security income? If you are like most people, you are getting closer and closer to your retirement and may be wondering if you're taking the right steps. If you're in retirement, you may be wondering, am I maximizing my income while preserving my estate and caring for my family? We talk about all things financial in what we call three-dimensional investing, putting a plan around your financial future. If you feel that now is the time to start getting the answers to some of these questions for your own situation, give us a call at Brayshaw Financial Group at 855-226-8551. Headquartered in Bedford, New Hampshire, we have offices throughout New England and across the country. We would love the opportunity to show you how we can help. There's absolutely no cost or obligation just to meet with us, and we welcome you to our office. Call us at 855-226-8551.
Find out more about three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning with Ben Brayshaw, Seth Krussman, and John Ryder on their weekly radio program, Money on Tap. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group are independent of SagePoint Financial.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters. You can reach us at 855-226-8551. That's 855-226-8551. Or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at www.yourmoneyontap.com and have a listen to any of these podcasts or any of these shows that we've rolled out. We love to post them there for you to have a listen to. If there's an idea or a concept that you want to get caught up on, have a listen. And that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. We love being in an opportunity to help you on your journey to whatever your financial goals might be. We're talking about RMDs, which are required minimum distributions out of qualified accounts that at some point in time, guess what? All that money that you've been packing away, it's going to come out and in one form or another at 70 and a half. And we've been having a lot of fun.
Hey, Seth, we're talking about the different plans that we do need to take those out of. So if you have a 401k, if you have a 403b, if you have a 457 plan, if you have a SEP, if you're self-employed, or a SAR SEP or simple IRA, you need to take RMD distributions out of those accounts when you hit 70 and a half. However, if you have something out there that was been introduced not too long ago by a Senator Roth, the Roth IRA, then the wonderful thing about having a Roth is the fact that you don't have to take any distributions out of there unless you want to. So if you have, think about this, if you have $100,000 sitting in a traditional IRA and you have $100,000 sitting in a Roth IRA, the fact is you have $200,000 there. Congratulations. The nice thing about it is that you're not going to be forced to take money out of that Roth. You will be out of the traditional, but not out of the Roth. So that is a very attractive type of investment to have. And having that in place really will help you from a tax standpoint. One of the things that we do here at Brayshaw Financial is that we spend a lot of time helping people minimize the taxes they need to pay, not only now, but also in the future. So, for instance, if we want to help create a tax break for right now, well, we would have someone contribute to their 401k or to their traditional IRA. But the truth of the matter is that in the type of environment that we're in right now, with taxes really being at pretty much an all-time low in history, and there's some charts you could see that would really illustrate that. We can't show them to you on the radio, obviously, but there are some charts out there that will show you that we're really in some of the lowest tax brackets of all time. And what we're all anticipating as advisors here around the table is the fact that at some point in the future, we're going to see those tax rates escalate. So what we spend a lot of time doing is helping people determine where is the best place to place my money, to invest my money now, so that later on, when I'm pulling out the money, it will help to minimize my tax burden as tax rates may be higher, in other words.
You've been listening to Money on Tap, and we appreciate you joining us today. We've been talking about RMDs. What are they? Where do they come from? Why do we have them? And it's a really interesting topic. There are actually some interesting ways that people can give through RMDs. That's kind of more of what we've talked about in our giving series, as far as some tax benefits through the gifting process through an RMD. We're not going to get into that today, but you know what? We do appreciate you being here with us today and joining us at Money on Tap. You can reach us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. You can also find us at Facebook at Money on Tap or reach us at 855-226-8551. Joining us today, Phil Henry, one of our advisors in Arizona and also in the New England area. It's been a pleasure getting to have some time with you today, Phil.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Phil, for being here.
Excellent. Well, you guys have a great week, and I look forward to it again.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through SagePoint Financial Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of SagePoint Financial. SagePoint Financial and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire, 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.